Sheila here with Sirius Dallas Moon, Soul Hour, Moon Day. Sun 24 degrees Gemini. We had a new moon in Gemini. Sun is in the decan of Gemini where we make a choice and stick with it. But I feel that the energies are something is something needs to be and it needs to be consistent. And at the same time liberating. It needs to be both feeling right and going right. Something that is settled and rested, but also going somewhere good. In a very real way. And that is not something that is, how should I say that? That is something that is beyond the trajectories that are filled with conquest. And when I say conquest, they can be filled with meaning, but for that meaning to sustain, there also has to be a trajectory. We think about to be and to do, both have to be there. For both. And with the sun, it feels like there needs to be mutual appreciation. Mercury is in the sign of relations, and the moon was in Mercury sign now in Cancer. The moon is applying to square Neptune, and so is the sun. This applying sun square Neptune is where the sun, when we think about the sun is something that rises, that shines every day. It needs to mutually honor the shine every day. It's something that respects the lunar cycles, but we want to wake up to it every day. Something that we want to wake up to every day. Something that we shine waking up to, and we can appreciate the shine waking up to every day. with that square to Neptune. Neptune is the dream, and Sun is the soul, the actual heart. And those need to align. Also, Sun can be the ego, but it's only the ego when people have an issue connecting with their heart and their heart being aligned. Think about an open heart that that is happy in one's happiness and seeks the happiness that is authentic, that is genuine. It's not compatible. And Gemini, when we think about big planets moving through Gemini, it's always like the suffragists, the women that are not happy just being a housewife. Doesn't mean that they don't want to be a parent. It's kind of like the desire, it's kind of like shaking off all the things that are not aligning with that in the world. When we think about the axis of Sagittarius and Gemini, in this decade of Gemini, we kind of like pick something and stick with our choice. The opposite is Mula Nakshatra. And this is an axis where it's so imperative to have, if it's a relation, and this new moon was very, with Mercury in Cancer, it was very relation oriented. Um, an environment of two people that can really support each other's growth, want each other to grow, want each other to be happy. And something, it's about the big vision. It's about something needs to something. This new nation can feel like shaking off years of stagnation. Uranus is applying to square the nodes, and this lunation is kind of like in between Magha and Fomalhaut. is the point of talus between Maga and Fomalhaut. Like where do we, and it begs both questions. Can what's going on in Magha actually fulfill our soul's desire? And what it stirs up is everyone's awareness that up until now, no matter how much they achieved or where they're stagnant, it wasn't quite there. It feels like what was compromised, um, with those that have achieved what was compromised, how should I say that? Now is the time to seize and deseize the compromise on what is actually aligning with our soul. And when something actually aligns with our soul, and this is a Scorpio placement conversation, it is not the goal that justifies the means. When something aligns with our soul, it's not the goal that justifies the means. I think this is the essence of the square between Leo and Scorpio. Taurus can give us the embodiment, the aligning of the telos, the being and the doing. How should I say that? A person is actually doing big things in life will never mock another. They're also, how should I say that? They wouldn't put down another, but they can come down hard on someone who's not actually asking for more in life. And that more is what aligns with the soul. And this is where the discernment comes in. It's also a Sagittarius discussion because Sagittarius is after Scorpio. It's after we've transmuted a lot of things from the depth of the deep, and the expansion of Sagittarius is not unrooted. Another thing that is coming up, perhaps still with the Jupi Cancer, is if people were to settle down and dedicate to a big project, be it an actual physical child or a child as a creative project. Granted that children are not there to fill in for the missing. What needs to happen in one's life? What needs to be there? so that so that that creative project or that child's placement is already not something that is filling for the missing. It's not something we do when something's stagnant. Whether people are parents or not. And parents can be to physical children or to creative projects. What is actually there, what is actually real, aligns with the soul. And what aligns with the soul doesn't need the means to justify the goal. I think that the co-presence of Uranus about to square the nodes and Ketu Magha is that it's a time to detach, let go, dematerialize the aspects that don't align with the soul, with what is in Magha, with what is the kingdom in one's life. And the choice that is there is the choice of, okay, what aligns with the soul. Only what aligns with the soul is the actual real dream that can actually manifest a and the fulfilling, because it's soul fulfillment. And that which aligns with the soul doesn't need to be the goal that justifies the means. This is why it can also be embodied. Okay, this is the ticket that begins to sextile the beginning of Taurus. Okay, the end of Aries and the beginning of Taurus. What aligns with the Sun in that decan of Gemini is simply about a choice that aligns with the soul, leaving what is aligning with the soul, staying with what is aligning with the soul, and letting go of what isn't. And this is where there is the choice here is the relation that aligns with the soul. And the relation that aligns with the soul has a certain telos. And Mars here is a union of spirit and matter. It's creating a vision that has a union of spirit and matter. You know, people think that awakening is, you know, other things that what people call enlightenment and so on, but there's a grand awakening in speaking these words to being of what actually aligns with the soul. The success is what aligns with the soul. The relation that is actually fulfilling is what aligns with the soul. Okay? When something aligns with the soul, we don't need the goal to justify the means. In fact, the way is embodied, and this is what Mars in Taurus can contribute here. What aligns with the soul doesn't need to overpower. And this is a good reminder because 180 from where the sun is, there's Mula Nakshatra in the galactic center. And that's the big vision. Of course, the big vision has to align with the soul. And that trines Magha. Yes, of course. I might annoy you with my broadcast, but other than that, feel free. The big vision that aligns with the soul is trining Magha, because that's where our kingdom is aligning with our soul. And that can be where everybody in the kingdom has a sense of self, because it's the last decan of Aries. What falls out is what doesn't align with the soul. Also materially, when something aligns with the soul, people have the energy, the dedication. Think about it, people tend to get addicted when something doesn't align with the soul. They tend to move in ways that are either attempting to have meaningless conquests or ways where not only the goal doesn't justify the means, even the goal is not. It's like it's true. And then it becomes like the stagnation or the grand missing or and depending to what degree of acting from frustration in one's life, Um, Getting out collapses what doesn't align with the soul. And Venus opposition with Pluto. Venus here ruling over Mars with the Sun in Gemini that is ruling that Venus, the value of the option that aligns with the soul being the right option or the chosen option. In many ways, either we consciously chose that or something is just going to fall away from our life if it isn't that. If we chose otherwise, things are gonna feel like collapse. And again, Sun, Neptune, it can be an ego dissolution because if it doesn't align with the soul, it's going to dissolve. And that's a good thing. What are the good things to do? What are the good things in terms of energy that can happen at this time? One really, really excellent thing is becoming aware of what aligns with our soul, our heart, in terms of relation, in terms of what we're growing, because it's a new moon. What are we growing? Even that alignment, even that awareness, but it's more. That is something, when I think about people that had patterns of addiction or something that wasn't something, that alignment with the soul and the awareness that what isn't is dissolving is a wonderful centering thing that can ward off a lot of the addictive patterns. They could have been a good surprise. And how should I say that? is something, there could have been a good surprise. We're finding out that we do have something that we didn't, it could be a small thing that we didn't think we have. Oh, we aligned ourselves with our soul, and then we found out that, oh, wait a second, I actually did have some money for that cup of coffee. Where I could even sit and ponder about what is that grand missing in my life, what actually needs to be there. I was wondering about Aquarius and Sagittarius and the sextile between them, because with Aquarius we become almost profoundly and acutely aware of the bigger nervous system and how it supports friendship, because we are aware of the mutual effect when we are doing well and we're not, who's kind of like and it also sextiles Aries, who's kind of like, for the greater good, each of us needs to be doing well. It supports the logos, and it can stabilize a stagnant situation or an overpowering situation, because um, because there's that logos that says, hey, all of us should be doing well, and that's pretty much the only system that can work. They can stand the test of time. They can prevent from people. You have to think about going from the sextile between Saturn and Pluto to the square. Because it's not going to work in another way. And nobody's going to be happy otherwise. Now, with Sagittarius, no matter where you find the Sagittarius, they're always going to nudge you to do bigger and better things. And they could have been like way out of their ways. In fact, when a Sagittarius is trying to get you to do something that you're not, you know that, how should I say that they're not in their element. And by the way, that's one of the greatest tools to point out to both Scorpios and Sagittarians. It's kind of like that is the grandest, like, you wouldn't be coming at me with that had you had an actual big vision. Like, don't collapse yourself into that state. And so there's something about this that has a little bit of a crisis around also a friendship relationship. Think about Mercury is a chatterbox. But the option that aligns with the soul is not, I think about, when do people tend to gossip? When they got nothing going on with their life that actually something in. Now, and here's the thing, they could have a 20-figure business. Okay? You won't find them gossiping unless something doesn't align with their soul. And they also are not likely to gossip about somebody that doesn't trigger that particular bat. Now, sun is also performance. You want to think about, even if it's an actor, let's say. Let's say it's an actor that had to play a role. They got a big role, or they got a big, and it's like a big opportunity, big money, and they were fascinated with the role, and then something doesn't align with the soul for that character. Now, there are many ways to see both writing and acting. But let me tell you a writer's tip. The character will always seek to realign with their soul. If you're an actor or an actress, a good actor will become the character for when they act. A great actor aligns with the soul together with the character. And understand that role and their character, and what the director says, what the screenwriter says, what okay. I'm thinking about the movie Donnie Brasco, and in Donnie Brasco there was a detective that had to become one with the mafia to basically spy on the mafia. And he went that route where he was so good blending in that his wife left him, and he almost became one of them. Now, what's the pitfall? He wasn't aligning with his soul. He wasn't aligning with his soul. Wasn't taking it to the place of saying to the mafia, hey, you run the government before the government. What about aligning with the soul? Okay, because why did Donnie Brasco's wife leave him? He lost the respect for a woman. It's the sad truth. She lost her husband. She lost her partner. He began to live by values of empty honor, empty sense of dignity, something that is where the soul alignment is being shoved aside, put aside, spoken, you know, and it's not a decorum. Uranus squaring the nodes is also a big reminder of that. Now, of course, Donnie Brasco is a film. I wasn't, person doesn't have to be in a, how should I say that? A person can align with the soul, and a person can be misaligned with their soul, though they're absolutely in a legit firm and everything. But the place where somebody has a goal and is supposed to be justifying the means is actually not working when we think about aligning with the soul. So this little, it's not an ego death, but there is an ego dissolution where in the places where something was missing, and this has to do with the sun, also about our confidence, our shine, our radiance, and whether people call it mission, whether people call it, I don't know, the telos in life or trajectory, or I'm not even talking legacy, something that is the how should I say that? Is something that nothing is a legacy without it. Even a legacy is empty without it. And everything is not real, no matter how real it is without it. Whether it's family, children, enterprise, kingdom. Um, yeah. And this is not something that people can pretend or lie to themselves with this particular configuration. And I think a lot of people, it's also a trajectory where we might see the places and the environments and the people, even if it was people that were supportive of us. Think about a person who is supportive of someone, but is saying to them, oh, you're just not doing enough, or, oh, I don't see you really try hard, or it's like, hey, is that really support? And again, it's not even about like frenemies or anything like that, not at all. It's simply the self-talk of people leaks also when they support others. Where it comes as criticizing or disdain, where something really isn't something. And that something is beyond the material things. And again, those material things are not unimportant, but they kind of sit on, they can transcend and rejuvenate, but they sit on soul alignment. If it sits on soul alignment, then it actually is substantial. If it doesn't, it's an empty conquest. And this is where the Gemini placement of the sun here moves through kind of playing the field, or what is, seeing the many options, not really knowing what they want, what works, to seeing how certain options duplicate. Okay, if I think about the middle decan of Gemini, it really is a twinning. It's like, and it's not about playing people. It's about, wow, there's something, it's kind of like, oh, that person is blonde, that person is brunette, but they're dealing with the same life struggles. Or they're dealing with complementary phases of the life struggles. But and Gemini begins with Alcyone, where the story is either the girl that was turned into a dove, so that basically it's kind of like for her safety, or the son that was born to a mother that wanted his child so much, even if it is a dragon. And she birthed a dragon, and then that dragon was looking for somebody who would love him unconditionally. He fell in love with someone, and when she was with him, that she loved him, then he became the most beautiful man, and his mother wanted to see her child in that phase, but then it kind of created a witchcraft that diverted him to a place where it was around power. And then his wife is sorry and comes looking for him, and he has to put even a sponge in his mouth because his wife feeds him some weird shit to keep him loyal. And yeah, I mean, and, and this is where that final night he identifies what that previous wife said. So think about Gemini, where it's not just about playing the field or not knowing what works, it's about something that is, what is the truth? What is the truth of the situation? And it ends with picking something. The sun really shows us that. How should I say that? It's picking what aligns with the soul. And it's basically returning us all the way back to Alcyone, which was where either that girl was turned into a dove, or the couple that was soul aligned um, basically chooses one another again. Of the duplication or twinning options, what is aligning with the soul? Now, and and I think it manifests itself in a way where, the sun really reminds us that the the ego is dissolving where something wasn't soul alignment. It's kind of like, hey, where something is soul aligned, the radiant shine and confidence is there. And with Gemini here, Mercury in Cancer, it can be, there can be the option of kind of like a mutual release from one another. And here is another thing. People that actually on a trajectory that aligns with their soul, unless they're like immediately affected by something, okay, if like they're not supposed to be oppressed when people align with their souls around them. Okay? Nothing that subjugates people is soul alignment. But other than that, people ain't got time to criticize one's confidence, shine, radiance, sense of self statement. I remember I said, I'm the Steven Spielberg of astrology. I know what I meant by that. I did not take the full trajectory of finishing a certification and so on and so forth. But every single speck of thing that I did had more than a speck of a contribution beyond, let's say, those that I learned from. If people can't contain that, it says way more about them than it ever says about me. People actually in a path of soul alignment wouldn't bother with that. It's like either they agree or disagree, or they can relate or not relate. but it's kind of like, yeah, they can mind their own business. When that business is aligned with the soul, it will not create a problem. In a soul alignment relation, people don't go. Now, here is the thing. If a person is in a soul aligned relation in their life, they will not be mixing with these type of trajectories. And this is clear as day. Now, more because it's Gemini, okay? It's not like Scorpio or anything like that. How should I say that? When somebody stands in their power, stands in their shine, or stands in their confidence, really soul aligned people wouldn't be feeling like they need to get out of their way. Kind of like if my shine, if my presence triggers, it doesn't trigger people that are soul aligned. And if I'm, let's say, I don't know, in my own path of finding my soul alignment, the people that are soul aligned, they know because either they've been there or they just feel that, hey, that person is going through something or is in a journey towards something. They don't feel an urge to demote or to diminish or to try to humble, which reflects so much more about what their own, and it can even be, it's not from a place of, oh, they're evil. It's usually from a place of they're kind of like going down hard on themselves, and then when they see a person shining, they're like, oh, no. And 99 out of 100 times, it stems from that. But also in a soul-aligned relation, because this is what this new moon was really about, with Mercury in sign of Cancer. In a soul-aligned relation, our dreams and our visions are not something that, how should I say that? Okay, it's not something. This is why I say it's a transit that accentuates on big visions. I remember when my teacher of aromatherapy